one of the things here on the channel I've been trying to do all summer is dispel some of the transfer rumors that have been going around about players linked to Liverpool and players linked with moves away from Liverpool. And one of those players that we've talked about a few times is Matheus Nunes and the possibility of him joining Liverpool from Sporting Lisbon. And well, those rumors and stories have basically died now, as Nunes is highly unlikely to join Liverpool, as Sporting Lisbon have even come out and said that he is not leaving the club this summer, and he has dedicated himself to Sporting Lisbon for the future. Now, another player that has been linked with a move away from Liverpool is Roberto Firmino, and we've talked about him in a previous video here about how Juventus was linked with Firmino and wanting to sign Firmino. And I did talk about how I didn't expect Liverpool to sell Firmino to Juventus unless it was for an outrageous fee. And a 19.5 million pound fee was what was rumored as being what Juventus were willing to give for Roberto Firmino as a replacement for Paulo Dybala, which again, I also said that was a bit silly that they were looking to sign Firmino to replace Dybala, since they had allowed Dybala to leave on a free transfer already. Now, news has come out over the weekend that Liverpool's number 9, Roberto Firmino, will be staying at Liverpool for the next season, at least the next season. And Firmino had spoken with TNT Brazil in an interview, and through that interview confirmed that he is going to stay at Liverpool. He has no intentions of leaving and was quoted of saying, "I love this team, city and fans. I'm here at Liverpool and I want to stay." So it was fantastic to hear that. And it went on to say in the interview that Juventus had never opened any kind of negotiations or spoken with Firmino about a transfer to Turin, and they've not even discussed it with his agent. So there was really no substance to the reports that had come out stating that Firmino was interested in leaving Liverpool and going to Juventus, which is fantastic news for Liverpool supporters, because we watched over the weekend in the Community Shield that Firmino was a big part of Jurgen Klopp's side, and I gave a predicted 11 for the match, the Community Shield, the day prior on Friday, and only got one player wrong in that predicted 11. I expected Kanate to start rather than Joel Matip, but Matip played fantastically in central defense, and Firmino also played very well throughout the game for I guess it was the opening 60 minutes or so before Darwin Núñez came on and gave Liverpool kind of a 1-2 punch, really, with Firmino being a playmaking number 9 there in the first part of the game, that false number 9, and then Liverpool changing it up and going with an out-and-out striker, an out-and-out number 9 goal scorer, and we saw Núñez really benefit from coming on in the second half. This brings me on to the fact that I think that Firmino is a player that Liverpool obviously do not want to get rid of. They want to keep him for this season, and I guess at the very least leave or lose him on a free transfer to another club next season. Now, I actually think that Liverpool will be interested in opening some negotiations with Firmino to potentially keep him at Liverpool for at least one more year after this year. And I think that perhaps around November or December, we could see Liverpool open up talks to keep Firmino, to keep that consistency, to keep things going there at Liverpool, because he is a big-time player. Now, if you listened to Jurgen Klopp's pre-Community Shield press conference, he spoke about Firmino. He was asked about Firmino being given a new contract and possibly leaving Liverpool by the end of the transfer window, and Klopp responded with the following quote: "He's crucial to us. He's the heart and soul of this team. The way we played in the last few years, it's because of Bobby. That's why I'm happy he could train for the time and he's in the preseason. Everything looks really good. There's no doubt about his quality. We will see how this year goes. He's essential for us." And by that quote, it really makes me think that Klopp wants to give Firmino a new contract to keep him around for another year, even if he's only playing a bit part. I think that Liverpool, Klopp especially, Pep Linders, want to keep him there because he is such an integral part of the team, and fans love him, players love him, and the coaches love him, and he goes out and he does produce. There's a lot of talk about the goals he scores or doesn't score by pundits and critics of Liverpool, but Firmino, he's the glue that keeps that front three together. And of course, he's not going to have the matches that he had previously now that Darwin Núñez is there, but Firmino still has a big role to play, and I think I could see him moving into a more of a midfield role, playing as an attacking midfielder, maybe one that doesn't have to necessarily track back all the time and defend, but one that can really help that attack and pick passes. Now, looking at Firmino's current contract, he earns £180,000 per week for £9.36 million per season. And yes, he is in his 30s and he's just getting older and older, but it doesn't mean that Liverpool won't re-sign him, but maybe knock down that salary a little bit. If there's a little bit of room to negotiate, then Liverpool could certainly keep hold of Firmino for at least one more season. And to be honest, there's not going to be a lot of teams in Europe, a lot of top teams especially, who are willing to give Firmino that kind of a wage, £180,000 per week, to play for them. You know, Juventus may be interested on a free transfer next season. Juventus tend to snap up players on free transfers. We've seen that with Emre Can. We've seen that with a few other players. And I mentioned Emre Can because he's a former Liverpool player who left Liverpool a few years ago to go to Juventus because he thought the grass was greener, which it wasn't. But there's going to be few teams that are in the market to give Firmino a large salary for a 2-3 season contract now that he's in his early 30s. Of course, there's always the chance he could go to Asia or the Middle East. But would Firmino really want to do that after having such success at Liverpool and could continue to have success? As long as Liverpool want to keep him, I would think that Firmino would want to stay at Anfield. Now, Firmino has been a fantastic player for Liverpool over the course of his time there at the club. He has scored goals, he's assisted goals, and he's worked for the team. He's a team player and one that Jurgen Klopp has loved since he arrived at Anfield. Firmino wasn't necessarily in the plans of Brendan Rodgers when Firmino arrived, but it was Klopp who really brought out the player that Firmino is and making him into that false number 9. And if we look at the stats from last season, yes, Firmino's numbers have declined over the last few years. He only played 20 Premier League games last season, scored 5 goals, tallied 4 assists. That's actually a great ratio for the number of games he played in the Premier League, and overall he had 11 goals and 5 assists in 35 matches in all competitions, only tallying 1,804 matches. And to be honest, Firmino did suffer a number of injuries last season that prevented him from playing. We saw him miss a number of games in the Champions League and be unavailable for Liverpool. And down the stretch, he was unavailable until really the last part of the season. And throughout his career with Liverpool, he's played 328 games in all competitions, scoring 98 goals and tallying 74 assists. Those are fantastic numbers. And even if he's playing a bit part at Liverpool now with Darwin Núñez in the team and expected to start almost every game, Firmino still has the opportunity to come off the bench. And, you know, if Liverpool are trailing, a player who can pick those passes and pick apart defenses to help Liverpool get back into games. Now, looking at the preseason, I think that the biggest player who has really missed out and slid down that pecking order is actually Diogo Jota. Jota missing this preseason, he's missed the whole preseason because of a hamstring injury he suffered during the UEFA Nations League, and he missed out on all the preseason games, Community Shield games, and will be out till around September. It doesn't look very likely that he's going to be back really anytime soon, and Liverpool will be through that set of August games really before Jota is going to be available, and that gives Firmino a ton of time to get matches under his belt and to push for potentially a new contract, which I think Liverpool could open negotiations, like I said before, around November or December, because I think they're going to want to keep Firmino at the club rather than go shopping for another player, pay a transfer fee, and then pay agents' fees and wages when you've already got this ready-made player right there already at Anfield. And again, despite those declining stats over the last few seasons, I think Firmino is good value for what he delivers to the club. All right, guys, let me know what you think about Firmino and this confirmation from him over the weekend that he's going to stay at Liverpool and remain with the club for the upcoming season and hopefully maybe in the foreseeable future if Liverpool decide to offer him a new contract. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, you can find my social media handles in the descriptions. Please, guys, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed over the last month. I really appreciate it. We're seeing a lot of growth in the channel, and it's all because of you guys. Also, if you could share on social media, that would be fantastic to spread the word about the Liverpool Reds FC blog. And I'll see you guys next time here on the channel.